Imagine a life where you have built a business in blue-collar work, whether it's skilled trades, construction, maybe it's just specialty labor, which is basically businesses that don't require a license like skilled trades companies do. Regardless, let's say that you've started with a vision, built and hired a team, built out your company culture, systematized the entire thing to run completely independent of yourself. And now the business is monetizing and paying you $1 million in annual profit per year, deposited into your bank account to do whatever you want with. Granted, you will probably have to pay a lot in taxes on that $1 million, but what if I were to tell you that it's not nearly as hard as you might think to actually get a skilled trades business to pay you $1 million in annual profit per year? What if I were to tell you that this is entirely possible for almost anybody to achieve within a 5 to 10 year time horizon, providing you with freedom, flexibility, and options to basically go on with your life and do anything you want? The journey is far from easy, and most people are not cut out to actually go and do the hard work that's needed to make it happen, but the skilled trades industries are completely underserved right now, and literally anybody can step in there and build an organization that can pay you $1 million a year in annual profit. In this video, we are going to break down in 10 simple charts exactly what your business needs to do in order to make this possible. Reverse engineering the numbers until we have a simple formula for success. Also, if you're new to the channel, my name is Adam Zwingler, and this channel is devoted to helping people build businesses in blue-collar work, skilled trades, specialty labor, unsexy, boring businesses. Start with the idea phase, scale it to $10 million in annual revenue over the course of a decade. We're doing that with our boring sandblasting and painting business right now, and we're taking all of the lessons that we're learning there and dumping them into this YouTube channel so that you can also learn things that we're learning. If you're interested in learning how to do that, consider liking and subscribing. Okay, so if you really think about it, in order to pay yourself $1 million a year in profit, that breaks down into $83,000 per month over the course of 12 months. So let's put it into a little bit of a better visual. Let's go ahead and take those $83,000 months and stack them into 12 months, which will equal $1 million. And assuming that you have a blue-collar business that is getting 30% profit margins, which I don't think is unrealistic for a lot of industries. With our sandblasting and painting company, we are currently sitting between 30 and 40% profit. And so I think that this is reasonable. You should be able to have 30% profit margins on that business. So we're going to take that $1 million and we're going to shrink it down so that it fits into a 30% profit bracket of your total sales. And so if $1 million is profit on the business, that would mean that the other 70% is going to be expenses, which works out to be $2.3 million. And if you add the two together, the profit and the expenses, the total amount that your business needs to be doing in order to pay yourself $1 million is $3.3 million in total gross revenue. Does that make sense? Okay, so just to recap where we're at in this entire thing so far, assuming your business is able to do a 30% profit margin, which I think is entirely possible in the skilled trades, your business actually needs to be doing $3.3 million in annual gross revenue in order to have $1 million in profit at the end of every year. Okay, so now that we know that we need $3.3 million in gross revenue in order to put $1 million of profit in our bank account at the end of every year, let's go ahead and reverse engineer the numbers so that we can work backwards and figure out what we actually need to be doing in sales on a daily basis in order to hit this projected profitability. So in simple math, there's going to be 5 days in a work week. The amount of weeks in a year is 52, as we all know. And so the amount of working days in a year are 260, assuming that you're giving your guys the weekend off. And so if you take $3.3 million and you divide that by 260 days, it works out to be a little over $12,000 per day that you need to do in sales in order to hit $3.3 million in annual revenue. And of that $12,692 in daily sales, you should have a daily profit margin of 30%, which works out to be a little over $3,800. These are rough numbers. Let's go ahead and jump back up to the daily sales. As you can see there, I put a range. most businesses are going to do somewhere between $12,000 and $18,000 per day in order to hit these kinds of numbers and put $1 million of pure profit into your bank account at the end of every year. And so you kind of have to ask yourself, I know when I ran through these numbers, I really asked myself, where is my business currently at on a daily sales amount? And how much more manpower and sales do I need to have in order to hit these kinds of numbers? It's great to reflect on your current business so that you know how much further you need to go on a daily basis in order to hit these kinds of projections. Remember guys, one of the easiest, and it's not easy, but one of the easier ways to build a business that can actually pay you $1 million in profit every year is actually in blue collar work right now. Everyone's running off to white collar. Nobody's focused on blue collar. There's not enough people doing blue collar. This is the time, this is the place to build a business in blue collar work. And if you do it, the money will roll in. And if you're interested in doing that, consider coming over to buildupuniversity.com. This is our resource membership website. It's not fully built out yet. There's going to be a masterclass in there that's going to actually teach you how to start with an idea, scale it, $10 million in annual revenue over the course of a decade. Well, we're building that out. Consider still coming over there because there's a section called the Website Template Builder. And basically, it is a 15 to 20 minute process. We ask you a series of questions. You go through about 5 or 6 pages of questions and forms and stuff that you select. And once you submit that, we will build you a beautifully laid out company website for your skilled trades or specialty labor business. We only specialize in blue collar work, and we've been building these kinds of websites for nearly a decade with Inside Out Creative, my marketing agency that builds websites. Highly recommend it. It's dirt cheap to do it. It's only a 1-page website. There's a gallery in there. There's all kinds of beautiful information that is needed for your website. But really, guys, this is a very inexpensive way to get your first website up and running if you are going to pursue this path and try to build this kind of company over the next 5 to 10 years. And while you're pondering that question with your own business, let me give you 3 questions that I think actually help you get to the center point of how to hit these numbers. The first question is what are the least complicated jobs you can do? Number 2, what are the highest profit margin jobs you can do? And number 3, you have to figure out where the highest amount of demand is. And at the center point of these 3 questions should be you landing your business at the numbers that you're trying to hit. If that doesn't make sense and kind of seems complicated, let's put a diagram to it so that it'll make more sense. Okay, so pulling up this growth matrix to give you a visual to help you understand this. On that top circle, you need to find the least complicated jobs. Bottom right-hand corner, you need to be finding the highest margin jobs. And in the left-hand corner, you need to be finding the most frequent jobs that you just come by on a daily basis quite often that you can do. And at the center point, all of that should be your easiest route to get to $12,692 in daily sales. So let's take a look at Blastcraft, which is my sandblasting company, and I'll show you how we came to this number with our business. So what we figured out is that the least complicated jobs that we can do for sandblasting are actually concrete jobs, because you can't screw up concrete very easily. It's very durable. Unlike wood and steel and a bunch of other surfaces, we found that concrete was the least complicated work that we can do at sandblasting. So if we go and we do a bunch of commercial work that's all concrete resurfacing, that's where the highest profit margins are. It's not in residential, it's in commercial. And then in terms of most frequent, residential didn't make sense either because homeowners only had a need for us every once in a while and weren't really reoccurring. So we found that the big construction companies, especially the big concrete companies, and maintenance companies, and HOAs, those were the companies that actually needed us the most frequently, tended to use us ongoing. As soon as they locked us in and realized that we were professional and knew what we were doing, they would continue to feed us project after project after project. So at the center, all 3 of these, that's where we found the easiest path to $12,692 in daily sales. It doesn't mean that we didn't do other jobs outside of this growth matrix, but we knew that if we focused our business on these 3 criteria, we would get there the quickest. And so as the CEO of your organization, because I'm assuming that you are a CEO or a business owner, whatever you want to call yourself, founder, whatever it is, let's go ahead and lay out a couple things that I think are important to focus on to try to get there as quickly as possible. The first thing is apply the growth matrix to your own organization. fill in those circles, be clear on it, be intentional on it, and tell the team. Communicate this to your team so that everybody's clear, and especially your sales guys are clear on what you need to double down on in order to get there the quickest. Secondly, you need to be focused on large ticket sales. You aren't going to do these kinds of numbers very easily if you have small ticket sales. It takes a lot of small ticket sales to add up to 3.3 million. Number three, the sales process in general. You need to take a look at your sales process. I guarantee you there's ways that you can be more aggressive in your sales process. You can be more efficient. You can onboard people quicker. You can close people quicker. You need to take a hard look at your sales process, because if you're going to hit these kinds of numbers, you have to have a very efficient sales process in place in order to close this kind of business on a daily basis. I would also recommend building up an army of subcontractors. It's great to have employees. It's even better to have an army of subcontractors, because people come and go, people get burned out, people quit, people move. And if you have an army of subcontractors, that is peace of mind. As you start closing more business, you need to have 2-3 men deep, a line of contractors that when certain people drop off or go down, you can put more manpower in, and you need to have backup reserves. It's like running an army, guys. And the bigger your business gets, the more subcontractors you really need in order to be efficient and make sure that you can deliver on your promises of selling this much work. Number five, you need to have organized systems. If you're going to be doing volume, you need to look at every aspect of your business, and you need to start to systematize. There is a fantastic book called The E-Myth Revisited, and this book speaks directly to how to put the right systems in place so that your entire business runs efficiently. I highly recommend E-Myth Revisited. I will leave a link to it down in the description. Definitely check it out if you have not read that book. Basically an essential book for anybody that is building a business. And lastly, just remember, perfect is the enemy. If you are growing, if you are scaling, if you are trying to build this kind of an organization, you cannot hang on to everything being perfect. As you scale, things are going to break, and you're going to have to be okay with that. You're going to have to be willing to learn. You're going to have a culture that accepts the fact that things break and essentially is easy on the mistakes that are being made, because everybody is probably trying their hardest to build this business, and you need to be open to the fact that things are going to break, people are going to make mistakes, and you need to learn from that while you're scaling. Always remember, millionaires make money with their brains and their mouths, not with their hands. If you're working with your hands, stop working with your hands. Start to communicate. Start to really think through the strategy that you need in order to scale your business. And then secondly, just remember that growth also requires mistakes. Coming back to this perfect thing, stop. Just abandon the perfect thing. Things are going to break, and that is okay. Pulling up this last slide, remember guys, CEOs have a certain set of tools, and the CEO tool belt is very different than the guys that are working for you with real physical tools. I know as I'm scaling my business, the tools that I'm using are my marketing channels, hiring and recruiting, especially for our values, looking for top level operators. I'm constantly looking at our branding and trying to build out our branding, constantly looking at data. I constantly have certain dashboards that I'm looking at. I'm considering my options when it comes to leverage. Cash management, guys. This is probably one of the most important ones. If you're going to scale, you need to be prepared for serious cash management. This is not something that they teach you. Learn to manage your cash. Learn to have deep cash reserves. It is absolutely essential as you scale, because in the skilled trades, there are massive fluctuations in the amount of money that's coming in and out. Analyze and direct your sales team into the right sales system. Double down on your company culture. Be super clear on your company culture. Be super clear on your core values, which are tied to your company culture. And actually, at a fundamental level, your core values are the behaviors that your company culture is built on. Be super clear on this, guys. And lastly, deal structure, because as you grow, you're going to be doing deals. You're going to be acquiring other businesses or acquiring other things. And so deal structure, in many ways, is a huge piece of the puzzle as you're growing. All right, guys. So that is basically everything that I have to help you get your head wrapped around what you need to be doing in order to get your business to pay you $1 million in profit on an annual basis. Hopefully this has really gotten you thinking. I wish you the best in what you're doing. I know it's hard, but it's definitely possible. On to the next.